among two entities or close relations, and it determines the relational impact of each other. I know that most students like to use correlational because they want to know the cause effect. And then there's causal comparative research. This is the one, it's a scientific methods that apply to summarize the cause and effect equations among different variables. So these are some of the examples of quantitative research approaches. Then we can ask ourselves, what is then qualitative research? We have talked about quantitative. Then qualitative research here is the process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting non-numerical data, such as language and behavior. And it's normally done in a natural setting. Here we are not manipulating anything. It can be used to understand how an individual subjectively perceives and gives meaning to their social reality. It is used to capture expressive information not conveyed in quantitative data. And this is about, it is more about beliefs, values, feelings, and motivations that underlie behavior. So if we know the difference between these two approaches, we are able now to understand or to have a better perspective of what we really want to do. These are the various types of qualitative research. We have ethnographic research, we have case studies, we have grounded theory, phenomenological method or studies. Most people like case studies and phenomenology. There is also the narrative method and there is historical method. So all these researches, you can, it depends on what you really want to do. Then you can choose the type of research you want to go with. Then let's see now, if we really want to decide which way to go, then we need to ask ourselves these four important questions even before we start writing. As we are thinking, as we are planning which way to go, we need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of my research? Or what do I really want to do? Or this research I'm doing, what is the aim? What do I want to achieve? We also need to ask ourselves, what is the gap in the literature? You know, when we are asking about the gap in the literature, some of us may ask, what do you mean when you're asking a gap in the literature? This is like, in very simple terms, this is the missing link. What is missing after you have now read, you want to do a research, you have read your literature and you find, you have seen what is known. And then now you see what is the missing link inside there. And probably it might be about population or sample, the different methodologies they have used in data collection or analysis, or even it might be the geographical location of the research study. So normally I hear people saying there is nothing new, but as much as there is nothing new, we can always find the gap as we read our literature. Then another important question you need to ask ourselves is, what are the participants' characteristics? And also, how will I collect my data? Which method am I going to use? So when you ask yourself these four questions and try to find some answers, then now you will know which way to go. So if that really the aim or the purpose of my research, the research I'm doing, if I want to provide insight into the problem, or I want to develop or help to develop ideas or an hypothesis for another research or potential quantitative research, or I want to uncover trends in thoughts and perspective, or I want to go to do an in-depth way to this problem, then I am leaning towards a qualitative approach. Then here, now I choose a qualitative topic. So you need to think, what is the purpose of my research? And also, if I want to understand the mindset of some people or a group of people, if I want to study their habits, investigate them, or share their perception, understand their experiences or opinions, this is a way you are leaning towards a qualitative approach. And so you're going to choose a qualitative topic. Mostly, qualitative topics are very common in social sciences and in psychology and anthropology. And I know most people, if you're, especially in public health or other social sciences, there's education, when you want to do such, then you know that now I'm going to choose my topic from the qualitative side. Mostly when you want to do an exploratory study, you use, when you hear some verbs like discover, when your topic has something like that, when you want to discover something, when you want to seek an understanding, when you want to report some stories or narrate some stories, then you know this is a qualitative approach. Then you know that your topic is going to be qualitative. For example, if I want to understand better the challenges former convicts face, those people who have been incarcerated, those who have been in jail, when they come out, I want to know what are the challenges they face, or I want to understand more when they come home, when they are returning home and reintegrating to the community. What happens to them? What do they experience? What are the challenges? Then this is a very good topic for qualitative study. Why? This is because I want to understand more. I want to understand, I want them to share their experiences. So this is where you will, remember we looked at the topics, there are many types of qualitative. Now you can do a phenomenology if you want to understand the essence. What is it to be a convict who is just returning? You can do a case study. You can do a narrative whereby you get the experiences and you want to narrate. Yeah, you can choose from the many types what you want to do. But when you see that the topic you want to choose has words like effect, you want to understand the effect. You want to see, not to understand. You want to see the effect, you want to see the cause, or you want to correlate, or you want to see the relationship between this and this. Then now this is a quantitative topic. For example, if I want to find out the relationship between lifestyle practices and quality of life, I want to find out what is the effect, what is the cause-effect relationship of lifestyle practices and quality of life, then I know that I'm leaning toward a quantitative approach. Then I know that now my topic here is a quantitative topic. Okay, now we have understood what it means to say purpose or aim of doing. Now let's go to the gap in the literature. The gap is what actually drives the method. From the gap you get after reading, then you are able to know which way to go. Do I go qualitative or I'm going to go quantitative? To ensure that a qualitative method can be applied, determine what the gap is in the literature reflects how, why, or what associated with the problem being addressed. In other words, what I'm saying, avoid attempting to determine the causation, or don't worry much about the cause effect of it. Worry more on what causes the problem, or on why the problem exists, rather than what has caused the problem. And try to get what is it, why does this problem exist? What factors potentially contribute to the problem, and how the problem is experienced by those impacted. This is where they will share their experiences, and then you get to develop that. So choose a quantitative topic when you are trying to quantify a problem or address the what or how many aspects of a research question. For example, if I want to know the number of first-year students at AUA, then I will go to the quantitative side. Or for example, if I want the rating, if I want to know the rating, maybe on a scale of 1 to 4, of the quality of food served at our cafeteria, then now this is a quantitative approach. So I will go for a quantitative topic. If I want to find out or do a survey on like 200 or 300 students at the university, and then some of the questions are like, on a scale of 1 to 5, how satisfied are you with your professors? You know, with these results or the findings here, I'm able to do a statistical analysis. And from the statistical analysis, I will draw conclusions. For example, I can know that on average, the students rate the professor at 4.4, maybe to a scale of 5. Then here I know that I will be able to interpret this, that they are actually satisfied with their professor. So here we are using numbers, and then we are using statistical tests to actually get into that numbers. Then I will choose a qualitative topic when I want, in my research, I'm interested with the qualities or characteristics. For example, if I want to understand now, when we are talking about the food, if I want to understand more of this, of the food, then I can take some notes. I can get a focus group, and then I get them to talk about the quality of food at the cafeteria. And then that way I'm going to use use now a qualitative approach, because here I'm going to understand more of how they take this food, how they, sorry for that. I want to understand more about the quality of food. And mostly when you're using a qualitative approach, we either use interviews or focus group. And mostly when I'm now presenting my work, I will use narrative form as opposed to the statistical test. When I want to conduct, if I want to conduct an in-depth interview of 10 students and ask them open-ended questions such as, how satisfied are you with your studies? What is the most positive aspect of your study program? Or what can be done to improve the study program? Here now I'm leaning towards a qualitative approach. Actually, this is a qualitative topic now. And I'm going to find out, after I've gathered the information. It requires me to transcribe it and now put it together and try to analyze the commonalities there and the patterns. And I will be able to write it now and present it. So now we can ask ourselves, should I choose a qualitative or quantitative topic for my research? Choosing one method or the other, it actually depends on what you believe could provide the best evidence for your research objectives. Let me repeat this one. First, decide or see what is it really that can produce the best objective of my study. Then you will start from there. Actually, you can even choose to incorporate both qualitative and quantitative methodologies, depending on what you feel or what you believe will be the best way to go with your study. So now when you choose, because they both have different perspectives, they can still enrich your topic. So when you choose both, or when you choose to incorporate both, or I don't want to say half-half, when you want to use both the methods, then now this is called a mixed method approach. When you're using a mixed method approach, you don't just mix everything. Here I've seen some food where you mix everything. You mix beans and corn and potatoes and everything. No, we avoid doing that. You don't do that when you're doing a mixed method. When you want to do it this way, then you decide first, which way am I going to go? Do I start with qualitative first and then go to quantitative? Or I want to do quantitative first and go to quali? You can, for example, you can decide now, I'm going to start first with interviewing the people to find out how satisfied they are with their studies. We are talking about the example of students above. Then through open-ended question, you can learn things that you are not aware of or you never thought about. And then now you gain new insights. Later now, you use the survey to test these insights on a larger scale. So in this case, you have started with quali because you have started with interviews, and then you have ended with the quant. The other way is also possible. So, sorry for that. You can start with a survey to find out the overall trends. Then now you go on and do the interviews so that you can better understand the reasons why they do what they do or behind these trends. So here now, you have started with the survey. So you have started with quanti, and then you are going to end up with quali. Both these ways are mixed methods, but we need to organize ourselves which one to start with when you are doing a mixed method approach. Another thing we also need to consider here when we are choosing our topic, it depends on whether you want to do an inductive or a deductive approach. So which way do you want to go? You also need to consider your research question, and you want to know which type of study do I want to do? Is it experimental? Is it a correlational study, or is it a descriptive research? So you need to consider all these things as you choose your topic, whether it's qualitative or quantitative. Another practical aspect I want to bring about, because I know most of us are students, and you may have issues with money, with the time, availability of data, or now like during this corona period, you may not have access to respondents the way you want, or maybe it is prohibited. You cannot do some other like interviews. So we need to also consider these practical considerations as we look or choose whether to go the quantitative way or quantitative one. So we really need to be careful as we choose, and we also need to be smart, you know, in choosing what we need to choose. I will quickly go through this, the comparison between quantitative and qualitative. This is because I really believe that if you know the difference between quali and quanti, it will be a very good step towards you or me choosing a topic. Let's see the basis of comparison here. When it comes to meaning, we are already described, or we have already discussed what a qualitative and a quantitative approach is, but for the sake of it, I'll just go through it. A qualitative research is a method of inquiry that developed an understanding on human and social science to find the way people think and feel, as opposed to a quantitative research whereby here it is used to generate numerical data and hard facts. And here we employ statistical approaches, logical and mathematical techniques. This is where people talk about the SPSS. They talk about other ways of doing their data analysis. And we know that the bottom line here, we are using the statistics to interpret or analyze our data. Qualitative research is holistic in nature, while quantitative is particularistic, meaning it is whole, you know, the nature of it, they are different. The qualitative research is subjective in approach, while the quantitative is objective. Mostly, qualitative research is exploratory. You know, you are exploring, you want to know, you want to understand, you are exploring, while the quantitative is conclusive. The reasoning here is inductive in qualitative, and in quantity it is deductive. When we are choosing a sample, in qualitative, it is definitely a purposive sample. In quanti, you can use random sampling. Here, everybody has a chance. But in quali, you want specific people, because now this is a specific task. Mostly, qualitative research uses verbal data interpretation. You know, this is where we talk of narrative. It is more of narrative. You are narrating and you are presenting your data in terms of verbal. Well, in quantitative, you are using measurables. Here we use tests, statistical tests, which measure. So there is a difference in the way we are presenting the data. The inquiry is process-oriented in qualitative, while in quantitative is result-oriented. In qualitative research, we generate hypotheses. You know, this is where we talk of like grounded theories, you know. You are grounding a theory. The hypothesis in most of the, in fact, all of the types of qualitative nature, we are generating an hypothesis, while in quantitative, we test. You test what is there. You want to see if the theory, the way it has been presented, you want to test it on your study and see that it is true. It is like that. Elements of analysis. In qualitative research, we use words, we use pictures and objects, while in quantitative, you use numerical data. The objective in quali is to explore and discover ideas using in the ongoing processes. When we go to quanti, we want to examine the cause and effect of relationship between variables. Like what we wanted to see, the relationship between lifestyle practices and quality of life. We want to see that relationship. For example, you want to know if you have a better lifestyle practices like eating well, exercising, all that, does it improve your quality of life? Or if you're not doing it, your lifestyle is sedentary and you're just there, you're not, you are living a lifestyle that is not healthy. How does it affect? What is the relationship between this unhealthy lifestyle and your quality of life? Or what is the relationship between the good lifestyle you're living and the quality of life? So we are talking about relationship. When it comes to methods, in qualitative research, it's an unstructured technique. For example, we'll use in-depth interviews, we will use focus group discussions, and all that. But when we go to the quantitative side, now this is a structured technique whereby you're going to use surveys, you're going to use questionnaires and observations. So sometimes people confuse. I've seen students who tell me, I'm going to do a qualitative research, but I'm going to give people questionnaires. So there is a difference here. The better we know about the methods, the better we will understand which one or which type to choose. And when it comes to results, it develops an initial understanding when it comes to qualitative approach. While in the quantitative approach, it recommends the final course of action. So as we understand these differences, we are better informed, we are able to know which way to go. Okay, to summarize this just in a very simple way, let's look at this. A rule of thumb for deciding whether to choose qualitative or quantitative topic is here. So if what I want to do, or what you want to do is to confirm or test something like a theory or a hypothesis, then you go for a quantitative topic. But if what I want to do or what you want to do is really to understand something, I want to understand some concepts, to understand some thoughts, to understand experiences people have gone through or what they go through, to narrate something, if this is what you want to do, then you definitely choose a qualitative topic. If you want to choose a mixed method, then if you really think that is what will serve your research more, it means that both these aspects, both these characteristics are in your research, or is what you want to do. You want to confirm something, and also you also want to understand something, then now go for a mixed method. But remember, when you are doing a mixed method, it's not called confused method, it's called mixed method. you choose which way to go. You either start with qualitative and end with quanti, or you start with quanti and end with quali. Don't mix up many things. I believe and trust that with that, we are able now to understand, or we are better equipped to choose our topics, whether we now know whether to go the qualitative way or to go the quantitative way. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Janet Odhiambo, for the wonderful presentation. And I hope each one of us has come out with something important, especially our students, because I know most of you are still in such a confused state, whether to go the qualitative way or the quantitative way. And today she's been able to make it clear to us the difference between the two. And I hope it will help you in coming up with the best decision to help you in your studies to come. Now we're moving to the question and answer session. And so far in the chat room, I've not seen any question. So maybe those who have any question, feel free now to either raise your hand, then I'll give you a chance. As you prepare for that, let me ask this question to Doc. I was talking to a colleague of mine who teaches in Rongo University, and asked him what method do they recommend. He told me that in the university and other universities, they now encourage their students to go the mixed method way. And I think you've also clarified that towards the end of your presentation. So if we get a student, especially in our PhD, who wants to go either the quantitative or the qualitative way purely, what advice would you give such a student? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, as I said earlier, it really depends on what the student wants to do. Before you embark on your study, please read. You know, I don't want to say that we have come from a tradition whereby you know, nowadays there is the ATM whereby you just go and do things immediately. We have come, some of us have come from an orientation that does not encourage us to read. It is very important, even before you decide which way you want to go. When you have identified your interest in a certain area, it is important for us to read as much literature as possible, so that you are able to see those in the field. What those who have done similar research, have they gone the qualitative way or quantitative way, so that you are even able to get your gap in the literature. Both ways are very important depending on what you want to know. So I cannot really say that I will recommend a qualitative approach or a quantitative approach. What I will say is that read, get to see what you really want to do, and find the gap. When you have already found the gap and you know the purpose of your research, then you are able to choose better. You will be better informed, and now you will be able to choose whether you want to go the qualitative way and quantitative. There is none which is better than the other. They both serve different purposes, and it is good even to venture into both. So depending on what you want to do, then, and after reading, then you are well informed, you are able to know which way to go. I don't know if I've answered your question, Doc.
Thank you very much, Doc, for that wonderful answer. And I think the answer that you've given is closely related to what, if I look at the chat room, there's a question from Priska Chilea. She says that I have realized that people look down on qualitative research. Is it advisable for a PhD dissertation to use a qualitative method? And I think you've already answered that. Now, the next question I'm seeing here is from Wilfrida Mitekaro. She's asking, is it okay to propose an intervention plan if you're doing a qualitative research? And let me just mix it. Okay, just please answer that. Is it okay? Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I can see. Is it okay to propose an intervention plan if you're doing a qualitative research? Yes, Winfrida. It is very, very possible. Actually, I did last time my research I did was on teenage pregnancy. And it was a qualitative research whereby I wanted to understand what really happens, what is the underlying causes, what makes these girls who are teenagers engage in such behavior and end up being pregnant. And after that qualitative research, it was a case study. I was able now to structure an intervention program. I was able to do a very good program for these girls. And we carried out the program and it was very successful. So it is true you can do a program, you can propose an intervention program, especially when it comes to like public health, you need to do it, whereby you are able to now empower this. For my case, I was able to empower these girls to go on with life because they felt like they were not living anymore. Some of them were even suicidal. So it is very possible to structure an intervention program and or plan, whatever we want to call it, after a qualitative research.
Thank you very much for that answer. I hope she's been answered well. There's also another question here from Priska. Can qualitative research be generalized?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Priska. Yes, you can generalize, but it depends on how or where you are generalizing. For example, if I do a research in an institution and I want to generalize this to other institutions who are similar, with similar characteristics, it is possible. You know, I'm saying this because I have seen that people think that you can only generalize the quantitative one. But there are also other things to follow, you know. When we talk of transferability, you know, the validity, reliability thing in Quali, if you follow what you're supposed to follow, you follow all the steps and you do your research, you are able to also generalize this research in similar setting. And this also depends on the audience that you're generalizing to.
Thank you very much for that. Dennis Matekenya has a question, please, Dennis. Then before you ask, Dennis, please just allow me to allow Dr. Safari to add a comment on generalizability. Then I'll give you a chance, Dennis.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dea. I'm sorry I cannot show my face. I'm not in a situation I can. And thank you, Dr. Janet, for the very, very clear presentation that you made. I just wanted to add to the good explanation that she gave about generalizability. Yes, indeed, there is generalizability in qualitative research, but it's different from what we do in quantitative research. The whole reason why we do random sampling in quantitative research is because we want to generalize over the population. While in qualitative research, we don't do random sampling, we do purposive sampling in most cases, not the only case, but in most cases. And it's because of that, we cannot generalize over the population. Most of the experts in qualitative research will tell you that the power of a generalization in qualitative research is left in the hands of the readers or the people who are going to apply what they have learned from the study that we published or we completed. What does this mean? It means that when we're writing our report in qualitative research, we need to present everything as clearly and completely as we can, so that when people are reading our report, they are in a position to decide whether it applies our translation, generalize to their context. So generalizability in qualitative research is not on the population, it is on the theory, on the practice, on the context. So people themselves, those who have read our work, are in a position to generalize that to themselves. We do not generalize to them, they generalize things to themselves based on what they have learned from our qualitative research. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc, for that answer. Dennis Matekenya, please.
Yeah, thank you, Prof, for the presentation. I hope I'm clear.
So we're getting
oh, thank you so much. What I have heard very clearly is that when you want to go mixed methods, it must be pre-decided in the design of the study. And what I want to find out, for example, in my case, I've done purely, completely quantitative study. I've collected my data. I'm analyzing my data. As I analyze the data, I begin to see things that are interesting. For example, I begin to see the issues about gender and ethnicity, which are appearing as determinants of a particular dependent variable that I'm working on. And then I also see something, for example, in terms of conflict of interest somewhere. I've not looked at it from the qualitative perspective, but it begs some explanation or some understanding. But this was not in my original plan. If I begin to see those things that beg further study that is of a qualitative nature, how am I supposed to do it? Am I supposed to just ignore it because it wasn't there in my design at the beginning? Or am I just supposed to recommend another study to go into that particular area to understand that particular situation? Or can I modify my proposal to include issues of the mixed methods so that I'm able now to look at my statistics and be able to explore them further through qualitative interviews? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's an interesting question. Now, I don't know whether these things that you have seen that are begging your attention, are they also answering your research questions? Or are they extra things that you found out? Just some clarification.
My research questions have been thoroughly answered through my statistical outputs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no gap in terms of answering my research questions, but these are extra things that would add value if I pursue that way, but not necessarily as demanded by the research design.
Okay, I will just try to answer from my perspective. That I think this is now where recommendations come in, where if your research questions have been thoroughly answered, then your research is done. But here are important things that I've found. I would like to recommend them for the next time you, either for yourself to do another study or to recommend it to someone else who is going to read your work so that they can use this as a basis for their now research as they start. That is the most, the thing I will think of doing, because now I've answered my research question. But if the information you are talking about is also part of your research question, then that is different. Then maybe you need to find a way to answer them in the research questions and try to put them there. But what I'm not understanding here also is how you are getting this data, extra data, because in quantitative, it's structured questions. You already used either the Rickert scale or whatever you use, it's a structure, it is a statistical, you have done statistical test and you have found out. Now, I don't understand actually how your excess information is coming, but I'm assuming that from the what maybe you answer, the people answered extra, which was then you realized, I think this can do another. I will recommend that you write it as a recommendation for someone else. We are not ignoring it, but we are recommending it for the next study because now our research questions have been answered. You know, I fear telling you that you adjust, because when you are going to, if you are going to adjust your methodology now, you are going to go back to your chapter 3, even to your chapter 2, so that you are able now to adjust from there. And I don't know now if you are going to go back for a proposal defense again. So that is another contradiction there. But for my sake, just from my side, I will recommend that you do them as recommendations.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
I think...
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Janet Odhiambo, for the wonderful presentation. Unfortunately, there's some questions here that have been asked, but time is not on our side. And like there's one question that I think is coming from the theological seminary, but I know this thing is open. If you have questions, I suggested that you can forward them to the school or to Dr. Janet Odhiambo. Then I know she will be willing to answer the questions. Okay. Now, time is not on our side, and we are just about to finish. And maybe before we finish, I would ask Professor Ganu to say one or two things just in a minute. Then after that, the Dean will say something. Then we'll have a closing prayer from Pastor Benson Ochieng. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Are you willing to take? There are two hands up. What do? Our time is up.
Time is up. That's why I said if there's a question, then maybe it can be directed to Dr. Janet Odhiambo, and I know she
Sorry, sir,
be more than
mine is
willing
not
to.
a question. Just half a second, say, if you would allow me.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yes, we appreciate so much this presentation. How are we going to get the notes?
Okay, thank you for your question. If you've been attending our colloquiums, the first and the second one, you've noticed that we do the recordings, then we send you the Zoom, the YouTube links where you can watch these things later on your time. or
Most
your own time.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Most appreciated, sir.
So in due time, we're going to send you the recordings on YouTube.
Thank you.
Thank you, organizer. Thank you, Dr. Dea, for this. And we thank Janet for a brilliant presentation. Thank you, Janet. And we also thank our dean for this initiative. This initiative will really, really help our students. Every month, there is a topic we treat, and this is the opportunity for you to log in and then listen. It will help you. You will take something home. And so we appreciate all of you, our dean, the presenter, and then the coordinator for organizing this. And you may not know, even those of us who are professors, we learn something from these presentations. So I just want to say thank you to all who organized and who initiated this idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Dr. Safari.
Just to add to what Professor Ganu just said, let's all continue to join every month. There's so much learning that is happening here. So, and when we join, let's really be focused. Today it was clear that some of us were not. Let's focus. A lot of the things that are being discussed here are the same things that are going to come during your thesis or your dissertation. And, this is a service to help us all continue to grow as researchers. Let's take it seriously. Let's continue attending. Thank you so much for attending. And congratulations, Dr. Janet. Excellent work that you have done today. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Safari. Now we are having our closing prayer from Pastor Benson Ochieng. Pastor.
Shall we believe as we pray? Loving and gracious Father, we live at above, we want to adore you for this far you have led us as a school of postgraduate studies. Thank you for Dr. Janet Odhiambo, and Jehovah Lord, I'm praying that you touch our brain cells and we try to remember whatever we have been taught. I'm praying for the Dean, Jehovah Lord, staff and faculty in the School of Postgraduate Studies. Shower us with your richly blessings, for I pray, trusting and believing in the mighty name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much,
Amen.
everyone, for your
Thank you.
attendance. Let's look forward to next month's colloquium, God willing. And next month, we will have a presentation on practical scholarly reading and writing strategies by Dr. Safari. So thank you. Let's look forward to that. God bless you. Thank you.